All right, it is time to start the webinar. Hello, everyone. My name is Kara Moncrief, and I am the clinical director for Sinclair in North America. Actually, now I am the director of clinical and practice development. So you guys will start to see myself and the full practice development team. We are ramping up the webinars for just different topics that are so important to eventually master within your practice. So the first one we're kicking it off with is perfecting before and after photos. So I made it fun. I made it somewhat interactive, although that's really hard to be interactive on a Zoom. But I'm going to pretend like you guys are answering, so we can make it fun. But I hope that this is really educational for you guys. I'm going to walk through, all the do's and don'ts in taking before and after photos. It is one of the harder things to master. I completely understand that. It does take time, but the important thing is actually putting in the time, right? Getting started, making sure you're practicing with it, getting better and better at it, and using the best practices that you can. Okay, so I will share my PowerPoint. And of course, as usual, you guys can write any questions that you have into the chat and I will answer them. Okay, so here we go. So before and after photos. First, I'm going to walk through why they are so important to have in the first place. And then we'll start to talk about consistency of photos. So first one is, what are you using for marketing on your website? Yes, you can have information about your practice. You can have great web copy about the technology and what it does. But the huge thing that patients are always going to be looking for is what kind of result can you actually offer them? We know that treatments most of the time, because they're sold in packages, are not really cheap for the patient, right? So they're going to want to know that you are actually providing the result that you're talking about on your website, or that you're talking about to them in person. So that's a huge reason, and that actually follows the next one is, what are you posting on your social media? We have really good statistics. That's actually the next slide. That studies were actually done to show the percent and how many people are actually looking through a full photo gallery before they're actually choosing you as their clinic, because there's a lot more competition, right? And it's only going to grow year after year. This industry is going to get larger and larger. So you want to make sure that, especially if you're just starting out now, that you're starting out on the right foot. So what are you posting on your social media? Aaliyah's done some amazing webinars on social media, and we know that there can be fun things we can do on social media, getting to know the staff, fun, silly videos, blurbs or videos about the technology, about the practice. But one of your primary posts should be the results that you can give those patients, right? That's also the big grabber, the big wow, I want to look like this. It's natural. It's something that I want to do. So making sure that you have also consistent before and after photos is going to be the key. What tools are you using in a consultation? So as you're sitting down with them in a consultation, by the way, we have a webinar coming up soon about consultations too, so that's exciting. But when you are sitting down in a consultation with the patient, of course, you're listening to their needs and their wants and what brought them in there. They may have tried other technologies in the past or somewhere else that didn't work. So they may be skeptical. Everything that you're saying sounds great, but does it really work? And if you don't have your own personal before and after photos to show them, and why I say personal, you can always start with the manufacturer's before and after photos, because we as a manufacturer actually get our before and after photos from you guys, from the practices. So they are real. But there's something very different when you have an emotional attachment to that patient and the result that you were actually able to create. And your patient sitting across from you, they're going to be able to feel that. So having your own personal it's unlike, having a bunch of manufacturer photos. It's really going to show and shine through, especially your own or your operator's own personal before and after photos. So ensuring that you have that's the going to be your biggest closing tool in a consultation, you probably will eventually end up going through your library to show them everything you're saying is actually going to work. How are you showing a combination approach that will bring in more ROI? You probably, if you guys join our webinars a lot or follow us on social media, you see that combination treatments are such a huge thing for us at Sinclair, but not just for us in Sinclair. It is a trend that's not going to end within the aesthetic industry because we know that we can pair so many different energy based devices in the same day on top of one another because they're targeting different cells, they're targeting different depths, they're doing different things. So we can do these amazing combinations. So instead of the patient needing to wait and do 6 treatments every month to see their final result, instead, now we can do 2 or 3 really large combination treatments and they're seeing those results in half the time. However, when you're talking about this and they're understanding and they're getting excited about it, then when you're, talking about the pricing for them to understand why am I paying this higher price compared to the package price that you just showed me, it's the before and after photo that they're seeing of the wow, this is more of that surgical result that I want right now, although it's not really a surgical result, right? We know that. Well, sometimes it kind of looks like it, but it really clicks and it makes sense to that patient. This is why I'm paying the extra, couple $1,000s to do this combination because these are the results that I'm going to expect because of these other 10 people that the practice is showing me. And therefore, the value for you guys is just more ROI that's coming in. And that patient's going to be really happy even after their first treatment. How are you making your patients happy with their results? This is big. So with energy-based devices, and you guys may do injectables and threads, and it's very similar to that as well, that they forget what they looked like before they came in. So even if you're doing filler and they're like, I don't really see the result, that's the most like, wow, I can really see the result, right? Because you're filling in an area. With energy-based devices, it's even less so because we are working with the skin cells. So we actually have to be patient and wait for fibroblast cells to actually go to the area and start to secrete new collagen fibers that are going to help thicken the skin and tighten the tissue and the elastin to regenerate. So we have to wait for the body. Therefore, that's really important to talk about in a consultation, the having patience, because with any energy-based device, it takes time for the skin to remodel. But with them, if you're not taking before and after photos at all, what they're going to do is you're going to do the first couple treatments. They're going to look in the mirror. Not everyone, but quite a few will say, I don't think this is working. This happens more than you would think. And they come back and tell you that, and you can't sit them down and show them, okay, here's your before photo, and here you are today. There is going to be a difference, and there is going to be a noticeable difference once you put them side by side. If you do not have that, what are you going to do? I promise you it's working. They're going to lose trust, right? And we don't want to do that. So we want to make sure that they're staying happy with their results, that they trust you, that they want to keep coming to you, that they're going to refer their patients to you. Refer their friends, family, and the people that they know to you. So you have new patients. So are you building trust with them, right? Okay, so those are the things to think about within your practice, within your business. And now here are the statistics. These were kindly provided to us by Patient Now and RX Photo. They put good money into doing this research, so we really appreciate them sharing this with us. When researching an aesthetic practice provider, what pages on the website are you most interested in, or what are you looking into the most? And here is the result. So blogs, very minimal. Information about the practice, pretty minimal. But the biggest 3, so procedure information, so on a side note, even though this is a before and after webinar, just make sure that you guys do have the web copy to put on your website. And if you guys do not have the web copy, we have it. We've created it. So you can always contact us and get the web copy for every single technology that you have from Sinclair. So it's just a copy and paste onto your website and explains the technology to the patient in layman's terms so they understand what it does. So that's important. Procedure information, reviews and testimonials. That's also going to be a webinar that's going to be coming up in the near future because reviews are so incredibly important. So we'll touch on that on a webinar. But it is a big thing, reviews and testimonials. So make sure when you notice that a patient is really happy and they're commenting to you how much they love your practice, how much they love you, how much they love the technology, ask them for a testimonial. Can I record you? It doesn't have to be written. Can I record you? You can use that on social media, right? So just try to think of all those things because you want this. Maybe writing, have it in writing on your website and have it as a video to post on your social media. But the biggest thing is the before and after photo gallery. That is what they're really, really, really after when they're going to a site. And I can say it's the same way for myself. I wanted a cosmetic procedure done that a laser can't do. And I was looking at plastic surgeons. And the reason why I settled on one and I will not budge is their before and after gallery. The photos are so consistent, they're so professional, and his results are also the same with every single patient. But just think about that. That's what really sells most people like myself. Would you consider reaching out to a practice that did not have a prominent before and after photo gallery on their website? If you guys aren't doing before and after photos, look at this statistic. 75% say no. So that means that 4 out of 5 patients view a practice's before and after gallery before moving forward with an aesthetic treatment. 4 out of 5. That means that you are right now losing 75% of the business that you could be obtaining. So, would you rather the little guy in white to be, searching and calling you, or would you rather the little guys in black? Because if you're not doing before and after photos, if they're not consistent, and if you're not putting them onto, website, social, so on and so forth, you're losing all of them, 75% of them. So keep that in mind. Statistics don't lie, right? So kind of hits home. Okay, so now we're going to go through some visuals, okay? Because there's one thing to take before and after photos. Yes, that's important. First step, right? There's another thing about consistency. So the first photos that I'm going to show you guys is an example of 2 separate practices that are offering hyperpigmentation. And I want you guys to think, which office would you call out of the 2 if you're researching through, right? So here's our first one. Great result. Okay. And then here's our second one. Also great result. So I want you to think and really look at this. Which practice makes you feel like it is doing things consistently, that they are maybe well established, that they are professional in how they're going about doing everything, right? Because an image opens your mind to all of those things. It's not just the hyperpigmentation is nearly gone or gone on the before and after photo. Your mind also goes to, what is this practice going to be like in the long run? Are they professional? Are they consistent? Do they do things in the right way? And I'm hoping that you guys were leaning towards the photo on the right being more so that practice than potentially the one on the left. And I'm not saying the one on the left isn't that way. They could be, absolutely. But it's the perception. Your patient knows the perception before they're ever walking into your practice. So what's your perception on your website and on your social media? Because that's typically how you're gathering your patients. Here's another one with post acne scars. So both of them are post acne scars. So there's the first one. And then here's the second one. And I want you guys to kind of look at those differences. And we're going to talk about kind of what went wrong in some of them. I will say the bottom left photo, they have the same backdrop, so that is important. They have the same angle, so that is important. But what are the things that kind of look off to you? Is the backdrop, does it look really professional? Is the lighting the same? And I can tell you, if you go on social media, find a plastic surgeon and look at their feed on social media. and then find a before and after photo and look at the comments. It is crazy the people out there and how they pick apart even the most perfect before and after photo. And if it's way off, it's kind of comical what people are saying, but they don't trust. They don't believe. They think that, oh, you photoshopped this. It can't be the real result because they're looking for inconsistencies. And with the bottom left, it may be, yes, you were the right distance, you had the same backdrop, you had the same angle, but is the lighting really good comparative to the bottom right? The angle's perfect, the backdrop is clean and precise, the lighting is spot on. So where do you lean towards with spending the same amount of money in practice A or in practice B? So just keep that in mind. Okay, we're going to go through some more. So I want you guys to think, what is wrong with these before and after photos? So here's our first one. I'll give you guys a second to think. I really wish you were with me in person so we could make this interactive and you could shout out shout out answers. But when you're looking at this, what are you seeing? What's off? So angle's pretty good, right? Backdrop, it could be better. But what's the biggest thing? It's the lighting. It's the shadowing. You should never have any shadows in your photos. So we'll talk about how and why in just a couple slides to get rid of all shadows, and that's a must. Okay, here. This is a great before and after photo. By the way, I've used it in some of my talks, some of my PowerPoints, because it's so good. It's such a tremendous result. So yes, this could bring a patient in for sure. Like, wow, that's great contouring. But it's just so unfortunate that the only, big thing that changed was the backdrop color. And it really throws it off, that simple inconsistency. Here, this almost looks like the practice may have forgot to take before and after photos, and they just asked the patient to do a selfie of them when they got home in the bathroom or wherever, and send it so they could have her great before and after photo. But is it great? I have no idea. I don't know if it's great because it's not the same lighting. It looks like a selfie. There's a lot of questions there, right? And you don't want your patients questioning you that way. And then here, this one kind of makes me laugh just a bit because I've been in this scenario. I've seen it happen where it's almost like they forgot to take a before and after photo. They put the ultrasound gel on the face and they're like, wait, we forgot. And they sit them up and take a quick photo. That cannot be the case. So there are some things that were done right. They pulled the hair back, making sure it's not in the frame, because they can crop that hairnet out. Pretty good angle. The lighting is not great though, but just make sure it's a proper way of running the practice where it's not lay down, let's get ready for your treatment. Wait, now sit up in the bed. Let me take a quick before and after photo. It's come into the practice, first come into the before and after room, take the professional photos. And when I say professional, it doesn't have to be a really expensive camera. You can do it from an iPad or an iPhone that's dedicated to your before and after photos. You just have to be careful of HIPAA. So just keep that in mind. But a lot of people are doing it that way. I would prefer, you guys do it on like a professional camera, like a Canon. It doesn't have to be super expensive. But make sure it's not just while they're laying down on the bed, take a quick before and after photo. That won't do. Okay, what is wrong with these BNAs, the last ones? This one kind of makes me laugh. Was there a result? I have no idea. They said yes, they did a treatment, but what was it? What's the difference? The shadows, the angle, they're standing above her. There's no way of telling. And then this one as well. It could be a great before and after photo, but what I would say as a patient looking, I would say all they did was they just put her in bright light. So that always blurs fine lines and wrinkles. When you put someone in like a dimmer, more shadowed scenario, folds are going to look worse. Wrinkles are going to look worse because they're catching the shadows and creating these kind of divots within the skin. Just lighting in general does that. Then you put them in front of a bright light and you can't see those things anymore. So that's what I would question, not, oh, the treatment really works. Okay. So now, lastly, we're going to go through good before and after photos. So these are examples of good before and after photos for acne scars. beautiful lighting, the exact same. I don't know what the backdrop is, but I believe it's black. Angle is perfect. They're not smiling. They're not making a different, facial expression in one compared to the other. So it's really, really ideal. And then same here. Great lighting, um, great angle, great all the things, just like the top one. So that's more so what you're looking for. And we'll talk about how you need to be kind of directly at what you're treating, not too low and not too high. So there's going to be angles of, yes, how they're angling their face, but also how you are angling the camera. So there's nuances. That's why I said before and after photos are not the easiest. Understand that, but start practicing it now because you'll end up mastering it at some point. So here's a good example of that. They weren't standing kind of above the shoulder below. They were directly straight on, great before and after photo, great backdrop, great lighting. And then same here. Although I prefer black, it's still, a very professional, very good before and after photo. So now that you guys have kind of, got to see those visuals and what kind of doesn't look super professional and what would give the patient maybe of your practice before they even come in, and your practice could be absolutely tremendous compared to those professional photos where they're already coming in with a mindset of they know what they're doing. Okay, now I want you guys to guess. I wish I could have you in person again. Which before and after photo is better? They're both good. So I chose two really good before and after photos. But which one is really just ideal? Like you really can't find a flaw in it. And so I'll tell you. So the top one, although we don't want jewelry typically in photos, it doesn't bother me because it's not like what I'm wearing, big hoops. It's fine. And her nose ring, probably always stays in. They're little studs, so not a huge deal. Her expression isn't all that different, not enough to go, oh my gosh, that's way off. The lighting's pretty good, same, plain backdrop. So it's not horrible by any means. But why the bottom one is so beautiful is there's one big difference, actually two. One is the black backdrop. A black backdrop will always bring your eye directly to the patient. So if I were the patient that was looking at my before and after photos here, my eye would go directly to my results, not what's going on in the background, not the wood background, not white, not, if you don't have a backdrop at all, not the machines that are behind them. You want the eye to go directly to, wow, that's an amazing result. And that's what black backdrops do always. So that's the big one. But the biggest one is the lighting. Why is it different? Why is the top lighting different than the bottom? The biggest reason is that they were in a pitch black room in the bottom and they had one single light source, a ring light. Same ring light that's on me right now. You can see them in my glasses. That's what you want to use. If you don't have like a professional room with before and after photos with lighting that's actually built into the corners that are mounted, that are always there and pointing directly at the patient, that's what you really want because it makes your life so easy. It's just there, you flip it on and you're done. But if you don't have that, that's okay, as long as you have a pitch black room. So when you turn off the light, you can't see any lighting. You can't see outdoor lighting. You don't have the fluorescent overhead lights on. It's pitch black other than that ring light. That's what's going to give you that look that's at the bottom. And we'll talk about that. Okay. So now how to BNAs. So the biggest thing is consistency. And I'm sorry if it's annoying if I say it 100 times on this webinar, but it's so true. Consistency is so key to everything you're doing. And so when we're talking about that, if you can, I know not everyone has this ability to have just one room designated to before and after photos, but if you can, you should do it. It's going to take out the worry of, are my photos going to be consistent? I've spent so much time practicing and mastering it and I still can't get it. having just one room is really going to solve that issue almost immediately. But again, not everyone has that luxury, right? Some practices are a little bit smaller, treatment rooms are being used. So if that's the case, you can build out things like, a black curtain, that it's the exact same black curtain in every single treatment room where you're going to be taking your before and after photos. So there are things that you can create that consistency, and I'll go through that. Oh, never mind, that's the next one coming up. Okay, so same background, black, 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 black. And if you have a window in your before and after room, or in all your treatment rooms where all your before and after photos are going to be taken, get a blackout curtain. It's not enough just to have like blinds or, shades of some kind. It needs to be a blackout curtain. And the blackout curtain doesn't have to be black. It can be any design you want. It's just making sure that you have that back panel that's blackout. But what's a nice little trick is to actually get a blackout curtain. You can pull it, and then that can be your backdrop for your photos. So it kind of works in two ways. And then when you're done with your before and after photos, then you can just open it up if you want the bright sunlight for your treatments. But you can paint a wall black. You can have, there's professional black backdrops that, you can Google and look into. There can be like a little rod that you hang, that it's almost like old school, like when you think about going to school, and if there wasn't like a chalkboard, or if there was a chalkboard, they would still have that like little pulled, like the maps, right? When they would pull the map down in front of the chalkboard, that's what you can do, but all in black. So it just pulls down for your photo, and then you can leave it down if you want, or you can pull it back up if you don't like the aesthetic of it. So there's so many cheap ways of doing it. If you're going to do a black curtain or black paint, make sure it's more matte. It's not shiny. Shiny fabric's going to be really bad. Shiny like my shirt. Same distance from the participant. So make sure that you're marking your floors with a piece of tape, with a sticker, with whatever you want to do, but making sure that you have a line of exactly where you stand every single time. And in that case, too, your patient should always be standing in the exact same spot. So either mark the floor, or Sinclair sells a little mat that you put on the floor that has little feet, and it gives you your perfect angles. Step on one, it gives them the 0-degree angle. Step on two, 45. Step on three, 90, so on and so forth. I'll talk about that more in a bit. But if you tape the floor of where you stand, if you have the mat, or if the floor is taped for where they stand, you'll have that beautiful distance every single time. You won't have to worry about it. Same camera or tripod height. So if you're going to use an iPhone or an iPad, use the same one every time. You want it to stay consistent. And if you're using a professional camera, same one every time. The height is so important. So if you're photographing, let's say, the back of somebody's legs, and you're tall, you have to drop down. You have to get down and make sure that you're really straight on with what you're actually going to be treating. It can't be a photo standing up high that's angled down. It's just not going to be a good before and after photo. So you kind of have to maneuver. If you have, or if you are a little bit on the shorter side, or have people that are going to be taking before and after photos that are on the shorter side, you can have a little step stool for them. Or the easier way of doing that is to do face photos. Have a swivel chair. If you have the room in your room, have a little chair that just swivels. It just easily turns. And then the operator, the photographer, can be sitting down in the same type of swivel chair, and then they're straight on with the patient. So it really isn't going to be an issue with height. It's a nice little trick there. Another thing, if you're going to do the little swivel chair, you can put little stars. That's what my plastic surgeon does, and I love it. They put little stars on the wall. So they sit me in a little swivel chair, and they say, okay, look straight at me, no expression, breathe in, breathe out. I'll talk about that in a minute. They take the photo. Then, okay, now look at the orange star. I look at the orange star, head down a little bit, and then I'm already there. Boom, they take the photo. So it just makes things go so fast. Now look at the blue star. It gives them the perfect 90-degree angle, and then they have you turn and do the same thing on the other side of the wall. So just a nice little, easy, cheap trick. Okay, have the participant wear the same undergarments at each photo. I cannot stress this enough, especially when it comes to body photos. So, like the photo that you're seeing there at the top, if you're treating for like contouring of the flanks of the abdomen, for cellulite, things like that, even for like neck, I would rather them just be in like a little black tank top every time so it's not distracting in the photo. Or better yet, just order on Amazon little like little terry cloth robes, not the robe that you actually put on, but it's the one that's sleeveless that it just velcros around. So it's just right here. So then they're bare up here and then there's nothing in the photo. That's going to be much better. And they're not expensive. You can buy them in bulk and launder them, at the end of the week when you launder everything else or whenever you launder things. Um, but what was I saying? Robe. Oh, so the worst thing is contouring and flanks and back of legs is when they're wearing like cheetah underwear on the first photo and then red, white, and blue stripes on the second. And that's your before and after photo. That's so inconsistent. And not only is it inconsistent, that's what your eye goes to. It's not my amazing result, it's this distraction in the photo. So um, you can get disposable underwear if you want. Most of them are not all that great. They're kind of just ill fitting. If you can find a provider that does like really nice fitting disposable underwear, great. If not, just tell them, do you have like a black thong, little black booty shorts? Wear those every single time that you're coming in. A practice that I know used to do whenever Victoria's Secret would have their annual sale, they would buy in bulk every size of just very plain black, whatever thongs, booty shorts, briefs. And it would be a gift for them at their consultation. And then they would say, bring these in every time for your before and after photos. So different ways you can do it, but just try to have them wear black undergarments or try not to have any clothes in it at all. Okay, so it is preferred that the patient wear loose fitting clothing prior. So what I mean by that is if they're wearing really tight jeans right before the before and after photo for their abdomen, they take off their jeans, they're ready to go. They're going to have those really bad creases in the skin, and it just doesn't show up all that well with photos. So just try to remember that in a consultation next time you come. Wear leggings, yoga pants, trousers, whatever, just not super tight. And then jewelry should not be in the frame. Again, if they're like little studs that they never take out, that's not a big deal. If it's a nose ring that is always in, okay, that's fine. But if it's, something like what I'm wearing or it's ginormous necklace and you're trying to take a before and after photo of a neck, have them take it off just for the photo. Okay, patient positioning. Have the patient hold a consistent pose for the pictures. A really nice way of doing this is there's a couple issues with when you're doing body photos. One, we are putting typically a female, it could be a male too, but I'm going to use a female as an example. We're putting a female in a not so comfortable position, right? We're taking photos of their most insecure area. So typically what they do is they're going to stand and they're going to stand up really tall and they're going to suck it in, right? Because it's an insecurity. It's something I would do for sure. We don't want that. So what you're going to have them do, and this is really across the board, any photo that you're taking, because it relaxes the body, even the face. You'll have them take a deep breath in and then slowly blow out through their mouth. On the exhale, that's when you'll snap body photos. That's when the whole body relaxes and you can't suck in at that point. I'll try. Hold on. I can kind of, but just talk to them. We're going to relax everything. You're going to take a deep breath. You're going to blow everything out and relax the body, and then you'll snap the photo. Same with the face. If I take a deep breath in and then out through my mouth, It just relaxes my whole face. So I'm not going to be able to pierce my lips. I'm not going to be able to smile, which they shouldn't be smiling. You can always take a smiling photo, yes, but that's not your primary photo. Your primary photo should always be a relaxed face with no expression. You want to see how heavy their lids get when they relax their face. You want to see how heavy the lower face gets when they relax their face. You want all of those things to show them the result that they're getting, in 6 months. So that trick is really important, just to have them relax everything. Okay, patient holds a consistent pose for the photos. Okay, I'll try to think of other things. So you can see that in the abdomen photo, there's no arms in the way. So you want arms out of the way. Best thing to do is just have them hold a genie pose, just like this, and then deep breath in and then out, and then you'll snap the photo. So arms are out. You do not want them doing this, because then that just stretches the skin from below. So always here. Same with if you're doing arm photos. If you do this, then a lot of times they're kind of flexed. The better thing to do is have them hold it straight out and then do the photo, because everything's nice and relaxed. But yeah, the poses, they need to hold that pose. Same with angles. Once you angle their face perfectly, they need to know. You'll walk them through all these things. Hold, hold still, and then take the photo. Okay, same distance between the feet. So honestly, that before and after foot mat will help you so much, because you'll have the same distance every time. Or if you're going to mark the floor, just do one or the other, because you'll have the same exact distance. You won't have to worry about like looking at the old photo. Wait, you were standing a little, your legs were a little closer, like stand a little closer. That will just make way too much time that you don't want to take. So either mark or the before and after step pad is really good. But if you're going to mark the floor, just make sure that when you're testing it with your employees, that your legs are just nice and straight. They're not touching, they're not spread out, nice and just like a normal straight stance. Arm raised to the same height. I talked about that. Face is pointed straight on without looking up or down. Okay, so we'll talk about angles next, but what we're talking about with straight on is, let's say I came into you for submental issues. So that's my insecurity, right? They're always going to be thinking about their insecurity, especially in front of a camera. My goodness, we're putting them in such a vulnerable position. So I get why they do it. So you have them angled 90, and a lot of times they're going to do this because they don't like this. So they want to stretch it out, because they know when they do this, it gets worse. So you want them straight, not up high, not down low. And a nice trick to that, I wish I had a pencil nearby. Oh, I have a pen. I have a Sharpie. So a nice trick to that is taking a pencil, pen, whatever you want to do, put it right mid-ear, right in the middle here, and then that should be right at the tip of the nose. So if I'm like this, you can visually see um, it's not horizontal to the ground, right? So you want them to put head down, head down, head down, head down. Sorry, I can't see myself right now. Head down. And then as soon as you get horizontal with this to the floor, have them hold it, step away, and then take the photo. So you will run into the patients that are, okay, head down a little bit. You're trying to tell them without doing this, right? Head down a little bit, they're here. Head down a little bit, they're here. Okay, up a little bit, they're here. So this is nice if you have that type of patient. It's like, okay, hold on. And then you just slide it down, slide down, slide. Okay, right there, don't move. And then run behind the camera and take the photo. And maybe you need to do that at every angle, but at least you're taking proper photos for them. It doesn't happen every time, but there's a little trick just in case. Okay. Oh, and then they should not be looking like this or like this, because that's going to be distracting in the photo, right? So always, it's so weird, because a lot of times you're taking a really close up photo, and if you're kind of close with the camera at all, um, you naturally you want to kind of not look right at the camera. So it's awkward for the patient sometimes. But what I would say is if you're going to do the professional camera, which is great, you can have the camera back a bit, right? Just the same distance that you would be taking of the body, you can do of the face. It's your lens that does the work. So the camera's not right there. So they naturally just kind of want to look anywhere but right at the camera because it almost feels like you're going cross-eyed. Okay. Patient angles. So important. Never just take a full front 0 degree angle. I cannot tell you how many times I've, had emails to the clinical department and they're like, we don't know if we see a result. We're treating her submental. Will you take a look at their photos? And they send them to me and I ask them for more photos and they say, that's it. And it's only this angle. How in the world am I going to see if there's any result here when that's all they have? So it doesn't matter what you're treating, hyperpigmentation, lip plumping, and even the most minimal things that you would think like, oh, I just need a straight on photo. I'm just raising her brow height. You need it. So the only time you wouldn't need it is for hair removal. But I know not everyone takes before and after photos for hair removal. I still recommend it. I believe in before and after photos for every single thing. Um, and I would say if you guys are doing women's health and you're doing labia treatments, that can be up to the patient's discretion. Absolutely. That's not a must. But if they allow it, you're not going to probably be able to take the before and after photo in the same way. Like you have this great setup and then like, what do I do here? So it will be laying on the bed and they're comfortable and that's okay. Try to turn off the light and have your ring light if you can. But I would say that would be something that's just sensitive. And if it's okay with your patient, great, then do it. So you can show the progress. If they're totally against it, I'd say that's the only one that I would say, okay. Um, However, if that's the case, it's most likely going to be the patient that comes in and says, I don't see results, which is so unfortunate. But I get it. It's a sensitive area. Hair removal, a lot of clients are like, I don't really want to do it because they shave. And then it's like, well, they're shaved. You can't see it all that well, anyways. But if you have a really good camera, it will pick up the hair follicles and you'll see the dark hair follicles. So it's nice because when they get to the end and you take the photo, there's no more little dark specks. You can see it's just bare and it's beautiful. And you can use those photos on social media, on your website for consultations. So I still recommend it. So anything you're doing, just remember your angles. I would say hair removal, you don't really need the angles. There's no need. It's just a straight on photo. Anything else, yes. So sorry, labia, hair removal, not necessarily for those things, for angles, everything else, yes. Okay, so it's important to, yes, have a straight on photo, relaxed face or relaxed body. You can do a second one smiling if you would like to show softening of maybe crow's feet in the future. But again, that's not your real before and after photo. Then 45 degrees, I've already talked about this a lot. You can do the star trick or use the before and after step mat if you're doing body or face, doesn't matter. So star, tape the floor, step pad, but 45-degree angle, then 90, then 45 this way, and then 90. And the only time you're going to do uh, um, the opposite side, right? So straight on and the back is if you are treating something like arms or legs. If you're doing like cellulite on the front and the back, then yes, you're going to want to do all the way around. If not, then it's just 0, 45, 90, 45, 90, and you're done. Check your photos before you're done. Do not use flash. Always turn the flash off. There's no need for flash because you have an amazing ring light. Make sure that your ring light is set to the same brightness every time. Ring lights are not expensive, $100 on Amazon. You can get nicer ones, of course. But even the one I have here, it's $100 and it comes with a remote. And on the remote, I have settings. So I can choose channel 1 and I know it goes to the brightness that I use for Instagram Live. Then I go to channel 2 and it goes to the brightness that I use for webinars. For you guys, it will just you're making sure that you're hitting channel 1 or whatever every time and that you have the same brightness every time. And play around with the brightness with your employees. What looks best? What looks the most natural? What's not so bright that you can no longer see the fine lines and wrinkles, and what's so low that it's really you can't see much of anything. So play around with it, find that perfect lighting. If your ring light also comes with colors, there's warm and cool, play around with that as well. What looks the absolute most natural, lock it in, save it, and know that you use that every single time. The only time I would say that that would adjust a bit is different skin types potentially. So if you guys have employees that are darker skin types, lighter skin types, just see maybe you need different lighting based on that. You typically don't, but you can always play around with it. I think I covered almost everything, and I wanted to do this in 45 minutes, and I did. Okay, so before I hop off, are there any questions? Remember, overhead light off. Sunlight is blocked. And by the way, another reason why sunlight is always blocked is one, because it gives shadows. You never want a shadow. An overhead fluorescent light is going to give a shadow down. A window on the side of the room is going to give a shadow on one side of the face. So that's the biggest reason. But number two, what time of the day are they coming in? Is it the morning? Is it the afternoon? The second time they come in, there's going to be a huge difference in the lighting there. And that's boom, your consistency just went right out the door. So pitch black room, I can't stress that enough. Every angle, I can't stress that. I can't stress any of these enough. But it just takes practice and working with your consistency. And I recommend, going on social media, looking through different practices that do great before and after photos, and visualizing, like, why do I like this photo so much? What's popping out to me? It's usually always the consistency, but that's just like a little nice exercise to do um, as you're practicing these. All right. So thank you guys all so much for joining. I hope this was beneficial for you guys. Even if you were already doing great before and after photos, maybe you picked up, a tip or trick here and there through. But thank you guys so much for your time, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.